morning, ladies. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes behind. I had to make my favorite vegan latte that I make every morning. So if you ladies are looking for a non-dairy, delicious alternative to your daily latte, let me know. It's in the group. I've got the link in there, but if not, I'll just repost it for you. So let's get on to the show. Ashley had asked a great question in the group, and this pops up for so many of us that are transitioning to gluten-free. We want our tried and trues, our favorites, right? Pancakes out the window, breads out the window, baked goods, pizza crust. So we're looking for ways to kind of replace those favorites, and I'm going to challenge you to find healthy ways, okay? There are ways to do that. So that's why today I wanted to share one of my go-to pancake recipes. Now, you're going to start with buckwheat flour. Now, as you can see, buckwheat is a little bit browner in color. I use buckwheat for a few reasons, and I'm going to kind of talk to you as I'm adding my ingredients. So let me share with you about buckwheat in just a second. But two cups of buckwheat flour, and this is going to yield about 12 to 16 pancakes, depending on what size you're making the pancakes. But so to the buckwheat flour, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Add that in there, and I do tend to add all my dry ingredients just so I can whisk them well before adding the wet. I love to add cinnamon, especially because I'm using applesauce as sort of my binder, so cinnamon and applesauce go wonderfully together. It is optional, but if you like cinnamon, it's actually great for blood sugar too. And I'll share with you, I'm sure many of you know my daughter is type 1 diabetic, which is another reason I use the buckwheat flour. So we'll talk about that in a second. Just a couple pinches of salt. And you can add a liquid sweetener of choice. A lot of recipes call for pure maple syrup or honey or agave. I like to use coconut sugar when possible. It's refined, it's not refined, excuse me, and it's a little less sweet and a little lower on the glycemic index than a lot of the other sweeteners. If you don't have coconut sugar, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup, it tends to be a little less sweet than some of the other sugars. If you don't have that or you just don't want to use it, go ahead and replace that with about 3 to 4 tablespoons of your favorite sweetener. I've even used a little bit of liquid stevia, a few drops of that in place of some of the coconut sugar, again, just to keep the glycemic index low. So yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about buckwheat and why I like to use it. Now, don't fret if you're in maybe an area that's a little bit more rural and you don't have access to, I'm going to try and pull this up so I can see who's all joining here. My phone is too far away for me to see that. If you don't have access to buckwheat at your store, and you can find it in stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods, Amazon is great. When we first got diagnosed, we actually just moved into the Midwest in South Dakota. I ordered everything on Amazon. I got it subscription based. You can save even more by doing that. But try it first. I don't want you to go and buy, 20 pounds of buckwheat. I want you to try it. They are delicious. I'm confident you're going to love them. But yeah, so don't fear if you can't get access to it right now. Just know that you can go on Amazon and have it shipped to your door in just a couple days. So I have whisked all my dry ingredients in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and add, now many of you who have tried different recipes, especially if you're transitioning more to plant-based, bananas are in everything, right? And I love bananas, and I've used it in this before. I'll tell you how you can kind of swap it out. But I actually wanted to try something a little different. I didn't want necessarily any banana flavor in these. So I'm going to add 1 full cup of unsweetened applesauce. And that's going to add like great moisture with the baking soda, or baking powder, excuse me. It'll give it a nice fluff. So I'm going to add that in, and then I'm going to add just about 1.5 cups to start of unsweetened almond milk. I'm going to stir it and see where it is. I'll kind of share with you. You want it to be pourable, but it is going to be a thicker pancake batter. So I'm going to add about 1.5 cups to start, and then if I need to add any more, I will. Stick that over there. So why buckwheat? So, you know, again, as I discussed, my daughter who's celiac also has type 1 diabetes. So I try to keep a lot of fiber, a lot of natural plant proteins in her diet as much as possible. And this buckwheat flour, you'll find, is actually a lot higher in both fiber, protein, and also a lot of minerals that you will not find in, you know, your basic either white flour or your gluten-free substitute flour. Even if you're using just like brown rice or white rice flour, a lot of times they're going to be lacking in, not a lot of times, they are lacking in those elements of fiber and protein. I share a lot about fiber because, ladies, if you didn't see my post earlier this week, 3% of Americans are getting the amount of fiber that they need in their diet, and you don't understand how important that is for gut health. And as a celiac, you know, with gluten sensitivity or whatever it is, like, it's so important that we're treating our gut well, because that's where all the most of the irritation anyway is happening. Get your fiber. Like, honestly, even in this recipe here, I would typically throw in some flaxseed or some hemp seed or some chia seed. I don't want to overwhelm you, but know that that's an option. I do that in just about everything because it never hurts to get those extra, you know, vitamins and minerals. It's also great in omega-3s and omega-6s, a lot of other stuff that we don't get on the daily, so keep that in mind. So I wanted to show you, so I have sort of a visual, and I could even go a little thinner, but this is sort of nice and thick, but still pourable. So it's going to look something like that. Again, it's going to be nice and dark brown from that buckwheat flour. So, you know what I did not grab? Let's see if I can do this without. All right, so I've got my non-stick skillet here already heated to like medium-high heat. If you wanted to, you can add certainly a little bit of vegan butter, a little coconut oil, even a little spray that you like to sort of give you a nice crisp outside and just add a little bit more flavor. So I don't have my pour thing, I forgot, so I'm just gonna wing it here, ladies. I didn't practice this, so hopefully everything works out like it should. But these are delicious. And I often, let's talk about sort of how I added the sweetener to my pancakes. I typically like to sweeten the batter too, because then it gives me the freedom of not having to have my kids, and we don't use, you know, really a lot of syrup or anything like that, but typically I might give them like, you know, a half teaspoon or a teaspoon of pure maple syrup or agave or something to put on top, but also like almond butter. We do that a lot with some sliced bananas. That's fantastic. So yeah, I like to make my pancakes in a way that doesn't really require them to be loaded with syrup and other stuff afterwards. So these cook pretty quick. It takes about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes per side. So let's talk about maybe some alternatives if you don't have applesauce or you want to try something different. Bananas, I said. So bananas, I might replace that cup of applesauce with about 2 very ripe bananas that I'm going to mash down before mixing it in with the rest of the batter. I also grabbed pumpkin. To be honest, I haven't tried it yet, but I know that this would be fantastic too, subbing out pumpkin for that applesauce. You may have to up the sweetener just a little bit because it is unsweetened, but you know, I think that would be a great alternative as well. So, as we're waiting, I'm just going to take a sip of my latte. Whew, I had to set my alarm to get up for you ladies. I just want you to know how committed I am to you guys. Oh, and if you're wondering why the heck it's so quiet, my husband took the girls out of town. I'm so blessed. So, Mommy got about 36 hours all to herself, and I'm loving it. So that is why I thought, when Ashley posted that, I thought there's really not a better time for me to do this than right now. So I'm still trying to see if I can find this in my feed, because it's so much easier for me to look at this than it is to try and squint at my phone. There we go. All right. So do you ladies have any questions? If you do, post them now. I am going to be doing, and I had discussed this in a live I did a little earlier in the week. I'm really excited to try and do something like this on a weekly basis. I think it would be really great for women because I think one of the things that we lack when it comes to kind of prepping for the week or just having recipe ideas is, it's one thing for me to send you a meal plan, right? Which, by the way, if you haven't grabbed your free one, let me know. I will send that over to you. This is great. Oh, thank you, Laura. Is it Laura? Yes. See, I'm still trying to read off my phone. It's not coming up on my iPad. But thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. But I think there's an accountability component when you're actually live with someone. So keep that in mind. Let me know if that's something you might be interested in. It will be something that will be paid for, but I want to keep it super budget friendly. Again, it'll be a weekly thing where we go through the week. I show you how to meal prep. You'll have everything ready ahead of time. We'll do it together. I think it would be a really, I don't know, I think it's going to be a great idea. So I don't know if you guys can see these from my window, but they are fluffy, they are big, they're looking great, and they're just about done. And then I'll share with you kind of what they look like. But yeah, if you guys have not, try the buckwheat. Try it. It's so much better for you as far as the minerals and the fiber and the protein you're going to get. But it's also a nice change, and it does have, because of the fiber, that's another reason you're going to want to add a little bit of that sweetener to it, because it's got a different taste. So play with it. I'd love to hear your feedback. I love making these recipes and doing this for you all, but what makes me even happier is when I see that you're actually making them. So if you do try these, let me know. Comment or post a picture. I'd love to see it. I'm going to give these just a few more seconds. And since the kids aren't here, I am going to top mine with some butter, vegan butter. We like to use the organic earth balance when I'm not making it myself. It's actually super easy to make your own butter. I'll have to share that with you guys sometime. And a little agave maple syrup blend. So, what are you guys doing on this Sunday morning? I'd love to know. My husband and my kids are actually heading back from San Diego right now, and we're going to be going to church and watching them sing. So I'm excited for that. All right, hopefully these bad boys are done. I think they are. And I can tell I did the batter a little bit thicker because you can see, I mean, which is great. They're super, super giant, which is awesome. They fluffed up nicely. So let me just put a little butter. I'm just gonna have breakfast with you ladies this morning. Put some butter on there. And a little bit of the agave maple syrup blend. I mean, that looks good. It looks good, right? Okay. But you're probably want to see what it looks like on the inside. So there you go, ladies, without dripping everywhere. Super moist, super delicious. Your kids are going to love it. And like I said, you can play with the sweetener, try, different ingredients as far as the pumpkin or the banana. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Like I said, if you have not gotten the free meal plan or are interested in watching my free training on the 5 steps to heal and thrive with celiac, amazing tips in there that you can start implementing today, let me know and I will send you over that link. Happy Sunday. I gotta turn you off.